Good morning, and thank you all for joining us today. My name is Bradley Pallant, and I'll be your moderator today. All attendees are in listen-only mode. You may enter questions in the chat box at any time, and all questions will be answered at the end of the presentation. Today's webinar is, everyone is talking about small and simple meetings. Are you? And I'm delighted to welcome Alyssa de Gaspé-Beaubien, Chief Operating Officer for GroupWise, who is joining us today. Alyssa de Gaspé-Beaubien wishes she lived in a hotel. She is so passionate about travel planning, she chose it as a career. Her BS in Hotel, Restaurant and Tourism Administration is the foundation of her career as a travel planner. The daily pressures of booking and managing hotel reservations for more than 20 years inspired Alyssa to collaborate with GroupWise team to automate the group hotel booking process. As COO of GroupWise, Alyssa's mission is to empower both novice and professional planners to manage all aspects of their meetings and events with ease. Alyssa is proudly serving as a member of the Endicott College Board of Trustees and President of the Endicott Alumni Council. Welcome, Alyssa.
Thank you, Bradley. I'm very pleased to be here today.
And I'm handing you over the controls now.
Wonderful. Thank you, Bradley. Just making sure you can see my screen and that transition was seamless.
That was seamless. Thank you.
Excellent. Well, GroupWise is very proud to be collaborating with Travelon and the Travel Leaders group with our easy-to-use end-to-end platform for simple corporate meetings. As Bradley stated, everyone is talking about small and simple meetings. Are you? And the Travel Leaders Group, as well as Travelon, has been at the forefront of this trend for well over a year now. And if you're following the industry trade journals, you're probably seeing headlines on a weekly basis about small and simple meetings. The May edition of Business Travel Executive, it was the cover story, getting your handle on simple meetings. So many people are saying this is the most important conversation you may not be having. And the BTN 2016 Strategic Meeting Management Survey said that the #1 topic to deal with is simple and small meetings. And if you will be joining us at GBTA in Boston next month, we hope that you will come to our session on simple and small meetings. But first, before we get into demonstrating how you can get a handle on it, we're going to talk about why you might want to consider automating this category of travel. This is always a very interesting topic and spurs a lot of dialogue. 80% of meetings are coordinated by employees outside of company travel departments. Unmanaged costs and non-compliance and not use of preferred suppliers are rampant. So within your organization, I am sure you have a strong travel policy. Your travel management company is bringing you a strong transient program and opportunities to continue to evolve. But why is it still happening? One reason is that sometimes you think that your organization does not have simple meetings. And if you do, I think that's a myth because as you can see from a recent study that was just compiled in 2016, almost every category of meetings falls into the simple category. Sales and marketing, trainings, internal meetings, advisory boards, leadership, special events, almost everything except for maybe a conference or maybe a product launch is qualified in that simple meeting category. And we also encourage you to look through your history and look at the number of attendees that are going to most of your events. So regardless of what's happening within your organization, what's happening industry-wide is that most events, about 80% of them, are falling under that 250-ish attendee categories. Again, only conferences are bringing in more than that. And all of these events are being managed by admins. So imagine all of the spreadsheets that they have. They have a spreadsheet for who should be invited, a spreadsheet for who has RSVP'd, a spreadsheet for who's going to eat chicken, fish, or shrimp. It goes on and on and on. So we hear from travel managers every day that their employees are in spreadsheet hell. And they're also making phone calls. They're making mistakes. And we always like to say, when's the last time you asked a millennial to fax a credit card authorization to a hotel? So what we want to do is help your organization provide these travel arrangers with the tools, oversight, and support required to effectively complete this task. And that's what we like to qualify as the gap between your transient program and your meetings program. So through your TMC Travel On, you have a strong transient program, and you have access to complex event help full service for your large meetings. And now you have access to your simple meetings to manage that. Typically, these have been decentralized and rogue. It is the single largest area of decentralized rogue spend within most organizations. It's typically 60 to 80% of the volume, but in some corporations, it's 60 to 80% of the spend. So now you may be intrigued and be thinking, what is a simple meeting? Again, it's not defined by the number of attendees. It can be 4, it can be 1,000 or more. It is typically the same combination of sleeping rooms, meeting space, food and beverage, audiovisual, with the same registration flow and a common agenda. Typically, you might, if you're in the vertical of retail, you might have store openings. Many companies have trainings and recruiting, project teams that are going out to work on customer sites, whether it's finance or insurance. And many organizations have a lot of internal meetings, sales, speaker series, etc. So those GBTA style events, we're going to leave those to other technology providers, but we're going to help you with your simple meeting solution. And what we want you to take away today, that it really is the last piece of the puzzle of a managed corporate travel program. You may be thinking, I'm a travel manager. This may not apply to me. But we actually see this as an extension of your transient program. And again, bridging that gap up into where a full-service meeting planner may take over. While we are going to bring you savings, and everybody that attends today will have access to a savings calculator to help you estimate how much Travel On can help you save on this category of travel. We're also going to ensure that you meet your duty of care obligations and help to mitigate risk. So with our integration into Travel On's GDS and with access to our system, you are going to know where your travelers are. Risk mitigation. Who on this call has not had an admin that has walked into their office and said, I just called the hotel to cancel the contract and they said we have something called attrition and we owe them $30,000. It happens every day. How is it that someone that cannot order a ream of paper without a purchase order can sign a contract on behalf of the corporation with a major attrition clause? Also, we're going to get into cool to use, easy, fun technology. And that is providing better events because both the meeting organizer and the attendees are more engaged. And of course, bringing you enterprise-wide data. Another reason why some organizations haven't focused on this yet is because it's not clear who owns this category of spend. It's the travel arrangers that are being tasked to handle this. They're being told by their boss, go plan it. Nobody thinks then to bring in the travel manager and follow policy. The director of meetings is typically the last person to know. And on occasion, the agency only finds out when somebody calls asking for an air manifest. So with this enterprise-wide end-to-end solution, every stakeholder in planning an event or meeting can be taken into account. But more importantly, it's your hotel program. So all of our solutions that you'll see today that include sourcing and managing small meetings can include your preferred hotels, your negotiated transient rates. So it's curated out of almost 300,000 hotels worldwide. And you also have fingertip access to the 35,000 preferred hotel rates that Travel Leaders brings you. And you can even attach your hotel addendum. A really good tip if you don't have an addendum for hotels would be to work with Travelon and get one, because that can save a lot of pain and effort by just making sure that you have clear and concise terms and conditions for contract signature, mutual indemnity, insurance requirements. Get that right to the hotel as soon as you request a bid. So the other major and exciting disruptive feature of new technology is that there is now affordable. So you may have looked at other meeting solutions in the past and determined not only was it seemed too hard, but it was also too expensive, because by the time you added up all of those per attendee fees, coupled with the per user license fees, it just became out of scope of your budget. So because we have eliminated attendee fees and user licenses, that means everybody can access the system. So think of Travelon as the middle of your puzzle. They're able to provide you with a company portal that has access to both full service and self-service solutions, where you can book up to 9 rooms in real time at your negotiated rates or Travel Leaders negotiated rates, where you can source for meetings, where you can access data and reports, create registration websites and mobile apps, manage room blocks, and more. So while you may not be ready to encompass every single piece of the puzzle, you can start wherever you'd like and start adding on modules as you go. So typical objections. Why hasn't the industry started to make this a mandatory requirement in all relationships? Well, in many organizations, it's because they haven't yet been aware that it's a problem, because there's no visibility. You ever get surprised at the end of the year when you're looking through your travel and entertainment expense cards? It goes back to the no clear ownership. Everyone sits around the table and says, who owns this? Is it the travel manager or the meeting department? Maybe your admins love to plan the meetings. We can still allow that. Let them keep the perks, but give them the tools, oversight, and automation to help them save time and money. Again, maybe you were afraid of the cost. You looked at technology in the past, but it looked too difficult and it was too expensive. And maybe you haven't wanted to lose control. So with the hybrid model of this technology, you can still use this technology within your corporation and have oversight from the agency. And maybe you just weren't aware that your agency could fix it. So now they can. So I'm going to jump briefly into a demonstration of our 3 modules and then come back to the savings calculator and open it up for questions. So I am now on the Travelon portal. A portal page could be customized for your corporation and fully branded. But the intent is that with one simple link, you can get this out to everyone within your organization, maybe on your company's extranet, or even keep it in the travel office if you would prefer. But from this portal, you can access full service solutions with the full service agents at Travelon, and then you can set the rules of what you are comfortable for your employees to self-serve. Again, they can book up to 9 rooms in real time, or they can get bids, and you control the parameters here. This first use case I'm going to show you is booking in real time without a hotel contract required. Many corporations have the need to make a multi-room booking, and all self-booking tools have a threshold on the number of rooms they can book. Sometimes it's 1, sometimes it's 3. So imagine you are now giving access to your admin to pick up where your self-booking tool leaves off. And if you don't have one, well, now you do. So the admin simply needs to put in where they're going and what they need. So this first use case, maybe I need 5 rooms in Times Square. If I was an admin and went on to an online travel agency to book, I would not be able to book out of the Travel Leaders negotiated rates, nor my corporation. And if I booked directly with the hotel, it wouldn't go into the back office of my travel agency. So now they can simply come to the booking engine. They would be able to choose from 150 properties. They would be able to access all of the content that would make them feel comfortable proceeding with a booking, description, photos, maps, event-based diagrams, or more. But more importantly, we are flagging those of which you have a negotiated rate. And you can also see the rate per night. So perhaps you know you have a city cap at $320 and the Hyatt is preferred. that would make sense to book it. So they simply would be able to click Book Now and see all of the room types. They could make this multi-room booking out of multiple room categories, something they can't do on many hotel websites. And they would be able to see your negotiated rates as well as additional sale rates. You could also access cancellation policies, terms and conditions, everything you would expect, except for you're only doing it once. You would reserve and then indicate who's paying, if it's individual pay or master bill, indicate the credit card number to guarantee it. Nothing's being charged. This is a secure pass-through to the hotel. Travelon or GroupEyes are not capturing those credit card numbers, and then you just assign the room. You simply type in first name, last name, email, and can provide a different credit card payment if you'd like. But that admin can make this multi-room booking in about 90 seconds. And when she clicks Reserve Now, all of the information is going to be sent into the GroupEyes portal to manage. She can come back and cancel that room or contact the hotel. But more importantly, it's also going to go into the Travelon back office system so that they can track and report on it for you as well. The next use case is what we call eBids. And I've jumped into a different environment than live because I want to show you some cool things that are happening behind the scenes. So this is when an admin wants to get quotes for a larger meeting. Maybe it's just event space, but it's more than 9 rooms. So here she'd be able to put in the exact same information, requirements of where, when, and she needs meeting space. So this happens a lot. Imagine it's a sales training, you have 10 staff members, and you need event space for 2 days. You'd be able to click Start Planning. You'd see all of those hotels that I showed you before, but now you could request bids from up to 10 properties in one instance. Imagine today an admin, if they'd never been to Times Square, would probably go on TripAdvisor, pick a few hotels, and then go to each hotel website and fill out a form on all of those and wait for responses that may or may not come. So here in the GroupEyes platform, they're able to set up their room block, add nights, they can share additional requests, attach a file, even the corporation's hotel addendum, and provide any information about their meeting space requirements. It's a very simple user experience, basic details, food and beverage, audio visual, and then the travel arranger will be done. So imagine saving hours in researching properties, you're selecting out of your preferred hotels, it's been sent to the hotel in a comprehensive back-end system with your corporation's hotel addendum attached, and hotels are going to start to respond. So in the system, it is supported by a team of people that actually call hotels and make sure they respond to you, but there's a few things that are cool going on. The first one is that everything would be branded as your corporation, so you're retaining your buying power. So it's going to say Corporation ABC, powered by Travelon. And the first step for the travel arranger, they're going to get a confirmation of their submission, and then they're going to start to receive proposals. Those proposals can be declined, they can communicate with the hotel, or they can request a contract. But one thing that we do different, and this is why Travel Leaders has selected to work with GroupEyes, is that we allow hotels to respond by magic mail. So essentially, every email that goes back and forth between a planner and a hotel within our system, it's still going to the planner's regular email inbox, but the system is capturing it. So all of those back and forth are done where the admin is comfortable working in her inbox, all the way up through final numbers, final invoices, but it's also captured in the system. So it's great for an audit trail. It's a good way to stay organized as well. So they can just come in, see every hotel, where each process is, communicate again with the hotel, see the content, and here in our system, this is where all of those emails are captured, and it also goes well with attachments. So great for protecting the company and organizing the arranger. Can view all of the proposals side by side. And lastly, if your corporation requires approvals, you can garner approval through the system as well. So sometimes this goes to procurement, legal. In many cases, it goes to the TMC. Essentially, you can configure who has contract signature authority. So the admin has still the perks and has done all of the shopping, but now they just have to prove they did their job How many bids did they receive? Do they know their budget? Do they have a preferred hotel? And do they have an attrition clause? Send off the contract to the approver, and then it will be done. And Travelon has access to all of the back-end data to see what's going on between the hotel and your organization so that they can report on spend at the end of the year, where you're sending your business, and just make sure those responses are coming. So I'm just going to show you the last module briefly and turn it over for questions. And honestly, this registration module is sometimes where people start. So you can manage a room block, or maybe there's no travel component, or maybe you just want to send out a link for people to book their air in your self-booking tool. So within our system, you can create a registration site. I'm going to show you a live one in just a moment. But the intent is that it's as simple as logging a meeting, and then you have enterprise-wide visibility into all of the events that are happening. You have a list view. You would have a calendar view. And after someone has logged a meeting, it's as simple as saying who, what, when, and where. Then you also have a duty of care view, a map view. So this is very important because, especially if you're having customer-facing events, in case of the unfortunate situation, you could go in and see if you have an event happening in a region, get into that event, and actually use the GroupEyes system to communicate with those attendees. You can text them and direct message them. So while the corporation's needs are being met, the travel arranger can create a really attractive, mobile responsive registration website in about 20 minutes. So this is one that this is just a party. It's as simple as a party that the Travel Leaders Group is hosting. And essentially their team member was able to put together this site in about 20 minutes. She wanted to share location, sponsors, a countdown timer. She loaded a really cool video, branded it where it was on a map, shared the sponsors, etc. And she was able to upload a list of potential attendees into the system and email them to come. I really do want to focus that this is mobile responsive, which means that anyone can come back to the link on their phone or their tablet, update their registration, but more importantly, use it during the event in lieu of an app. So if you've probably been to an event recently, you may have had to log in, go in your app center, download the app, find the event. Most people don't do it. So now, just by providing them with a link to the event, you have the majority of functionality of an on-site app. So your attendees are going to love it. Another more comprehensive would be a multi-day. So here, Acme Corporation, again, you choose all of the branding. This had a multi-day agenda. You had speakers, the hotel, frequently asked questions, and some documents and the timer. So how is all of that done? This is all done in the back end, and I'm just going to spend about 2 minutes on the high priority features here. So after an admin has set up a meeting, or it could the event planner, they can also do things like log their budget, add it to a company calendar. If there is a travel component, they would be able to determine how attendees should book their travel. Within AIR, you could send them to your self-booking tool, or you could send them to Travelon to book full-service air. For hotel, there are many booking methods. You can have them book on the GroupEyes booking engine I showed you. You can have them book directly with the hotel if they've given you a block or another third-party website. You can have them, you can manage a room block, or you can disable it. So essentially, creating a room block is really easy. But the beauty of creating a room block is as people register for the event, a rooming list is created for you. We're taking all of those logistics off your plate. If you ever need to sell tickets or items, you can do so with the system. If you want to collect money, you can set it up with a third-party payment processor, and essentially you can manage inventoried or non-inventoried free or cost items. If you did want to create that registration site, it's pretty straightforward. We allow you to customize the confirmation page, all of the email templates, the fields, and the questions. But it comes with suggested sections preloaded for which you can override the titles. You can drag and drop what order they're shown. But basically, it's like an iPhone app. You can determine what you want to be shown on your website, as simple as that, on or off. and you don't need to know any code. You can cut and paste info, you can type in info, or you can take these teaser text, and then everything is going to be published when you decide to publish it. So if you want that registration, it's pretty straightforward. And it's going to jump really quickly into the registration flow, and then I'll show you a rooming list, and then we'll turn it over to questions. So with giving these tools to your admins, it's great. They can do the work, they're doing it, but you have oversight. We have collaborators, multiple users, and you can work with your agency. So essentially the flow, when somebody gets an invitation, they're able to just come in. You can see here that we have made first name, last name, email, and mobile phone mandatory. Maybe you want to text them. They can add companions. You're able to start the registration. I had set up some questions. What time are you arriving? You can see that these are mandatory. Do you have any dietary needs? So you're capturing everything you want from the attendees. You can set up your air. I can have it request a flight with the agency or already request a flight. I'm going to just jump past that. And here's the room block. So here I can claim a room from a room block. You can have it either price or no price, but essentially let them do the work of claiming the room, and you're going to get a rooming list generated. And then they're basically done. They're able to say who's going to be in that room. They could register for multiple people, put in their loyalty club, etc., and then they're done. And they're going to be able to come back at any time on the link and modify their registration. And then in the back end, of course, all of those logistical reports are created for the travel arranger. So with that being said, I know we've come to the end of our time, and I'd love to turn it over to any questions.
Fantastic. Thank you, Alyssa.
You're welcome. So I'm just a little bit in the logistics, and happy to, again, rooming lists, flight manifest, orders, responses are all taken care of. But the intent is, with this easy-to-use system, to be able to save hours of everybody's time and have a more professional customer-facing registration experience to the attendees, whether they're internal or customers.
Wonderful. We have some questions coming through.
Great.
What is a recommended amount of time I should estimate to allow or to enable setup implementation versus then going live?
Excellent question. That is a fantastic question. So because we are cloud-based, it's as simple as log in. So essentially, you would start the dialogue with your agency. We have some suggested questions here, and I know all of the travel managers at Travelon, our account managers, are prepared to answer that. So it's as simple as determining your agreement. We have plans, monthly plans based on the number of events you have per year, and then once that agreement is reached, you have access overnight. So there's no installation, there's no technology, everything's delivered via a link. We typically see 2 to 3 weeks for the travel manager to roll it out within an organization. And they often test with 2 or 3 power users and then roll it out corporation-wide. But we also see a lot of people just start with registration. Maybe you've sourced everything for the rest of the year and you just want to bring registration to it. That's really easy. Just come in, log the meeting, and send out the invite.
Wonderful. Another question is there a help desk or a chat line should people get stuck?
Absolutely. So I'm just going to jump back into the live environment. So you can see I'm on that travel on sourcing portal right now. The live chat is always at the bottom, so that's available to assist you during normal business hours. And then in the registration solution, I'm just going to jump into the back end, there is a help center. So there's a complete help center as well as support access.
Fantastic. Another question is, you had mentioned reporting and some being TMC, and it looks like there could be some from Group Eyes. What level of reporting is available, and what level of reporting should I go to the TMC versus Group Eyes direct?
Excellent. Well, so there are as we've seen, 3 modules. 2 focus on procurement, that host instant booking, and the sourcing. So typically, because you're accessing your travel leaders setup, the Travelon, you're really focusing on any of your GDS setup that you have, that Travelon would be focusing on kind of that high-level spend and anything on your sourcing. You'd have access to it as well. And then the corporations typically rely on things like the logistical reports per the event, but then they can also view their stats for all events. So it really depends on what your requirements are, but they're all there for you.
Fantastic. I'll leave it a little longer, see if there's any more questions that will come through.
Great. Well, while you're doing that, I'm just going to point out that I'm sure we will want to share the savings calculators. You know, it is based on your corporation's spend, the industry averages, and, you know, I am confident that if you implement this solution, you are going to save on your simple meetings. I mean, there are so many additional areas in addition to just the hotel spend. Imagine if you had insight to everybody that was attending your event that had not booked their air at 14 days out. By simply triggering an email to them to book their air, you're going to save thousands. And then eliminate those pesky registration fees and user licenses. And couple that together with your duty of care, risk mitigation, and engagement, I think you're going to know why you should act now.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
Great. Well, we appreciate the opportunity.
Perfect. And thank you again, Alyssa, for the informative and comprehensive, I must say, comprehensive presentation today. And thank you to our audience for your time and participation as always. The webinar has been recorded and will be made available for replay. If anyone thinks of any additional questions or would like any more information on the subject, please feel free to reach out to your Travelon account manager. And also, while we have you, please mark your calendar now for the next monthly webinar. The date is July 25th. Topic and registration details will be advised shortly. Again, thank you all for your time today and enjoy the remainder of your day. Thank you.